So I just made $25,000 off of one real estate wholesale deal. Now, $25,000 is not a crazy amount of money, but in wholesale, it's higher than the average price or average assignment fee per deal, specifically with land. Also, the reason is this deal was a little bit crazy, and that's the only reason why I'm doing this video. We close a lot of those deals, but we don't do videos about them, is because they're not that crazy. But that one, I had to be extremely persistent and I had to take that extra step. And because I did that, I got paid. That's really all it took, is just to take that extra step, be a little bit more persistent compared to the competitors, and you can just get paid. It's that easy. So we were trying to do some normal deals, and then we came across this specific seller that every time he tried to sell his property, it kept getting canceled. Because every single time a buyer tries to close on it, they discover it needs to go through probate and the seller has passed away. So every single time that happened, the buyer say, I don't want to go that extra step. It's going to take a long time and it's going to cost some money and I need to go through all the process to make a normal deal. And when the seller told me that every single time someone's canceling on the deal and no one is really wanting to do the deal with him, he was saying it in a way that he didn't want to sell it anymore, because he's like, it's too much for me. It's taking a lot of my time. Every single time people call me and then they go under contract and then they figure this out. He's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'll just keep the property. I don't care. I don't want to sell it. But for him to be with me on the phone and to explain all of that, there has to be some little bit of interest at least. So I tried to use that to my advantage, and I asked him, I told him, hey, and like it literally just came to, I didn't even have time to think about it. I just asked him, hey, if I gave you everything you need to get this deal done, if I connected you with some attorneys or whatever and got this done for you, would you be at least open? They're like, sure. So I was like, in my mind, I've never done something similar. So it was kind of a risk for me. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if it was going to cost me any money. So I really didn't know what to do. So the first thing I did is I called the title company and I asked them, have you guys had any experience with such deals? And they said yes. And I was like, what is a good probate attorney? They connected me to one and I talked to them, and then we did like kind of a meeting with me, the sellers, and the probate attorney with his assistant or whatever. And they started explaining everything. And what made it even worse is those sellers are not even in the United States. They're in a whole different country. They're in Trinidad, where I think it's almost a kind of a third world country. I'm not really sure, but based on what I know. So even if the probate process got completed successfully, we still needed to close the deal with our end buyer, right? Which, if you guys know about real estate, it's complicated for someone that's overseas to close the deal here, even though they have title, because there's a lot of things that they need to sign on in person, and there needs to be some sort of notary, whatever. So that was very, very complicated. There were like 7 siblings. It was a very complicated process. And once I went back to the sellers and told them, hey guys, like this is what I have, this is what I can do. Are you guys ready to move forward? They said, sure. Now, it was kind of a new market for me. It's Port St. Lucie. And I didn't really have a buyer there at the moment because I have a partner. He's the one who handles the buyer side. And we didn't have buyers at the moment. But I knew it was a good market. So when I asked the sellers, when I gave him the proposal on if they wanted to move forward with the deal, because I got the probate attorney and everything, and they explained everything. I was like, are you guys ready to move forward? Everyone on the call said yes. And they asked me, and I was like, yes, sure. So we did that, and we had to talk a little bit about price and how much are we willing to pay for the property. I asked them, how much are you guys willing to sell it for? It was, and by the way, it was a vacant lot. And they said $120,000. Now, again, I have no clue what the market is. I looked at a little bit of comparables to see what would be a good price. And I figured 110,000 is a good price. So I counter offered with 110, and they were like, sure, we can do 110. And I still didn't know if I'm going to make money on this deal or lose money on this deal. So everything was just a risk, and it was like in my mind, I was like, fuck it, let me just do it. Why not, right? Even if it doesn't go through, I'll just at least learn a little bit about a probate process, whatever. So we agreed, we signed an agreement, we did everything, the probate process started, and it took so much time for them to sign the papers on DocuSign. Some of them are in another country, some of them don't have phones. Like, it wasn't that easy. I had to follow up with them every single week to make sure that all the siblings are aware of the new documents that are coming their way from the probate attorney. It was one of the toughest deals I've ever done. It was extremely hard. And all that time, we did not even think about getting a buyer just because we don't know how long it's going to take. And the attorney said it's probably going to take a few months or whatever. So we completely ignored the buyer's part and we're like, just let's get a little bit close to the finish line and then we'll go from there. And as time went by, there's a little bit of progress going on, and a few months after that, we got to the finish line, and they were almost going to get the probate process done. And that's where I called my partner, and I told him, hey, find me a buyer in this market, and that's what we have it under contract for. So here's what's crazy. We marketed the property to be sold at $130,000. Okay, so that means we're gonna make $20,000 of profit. And my partner reached out to one buyer and he asked him, like, would you take this deal at 130? The buyer said no. He's like, I can pay 135. So he can pay more than what we asked for, which is strange, but we're like, sure, why not? Let's do it. We'll make $25,000. And the buyer was aware about the probate thing, and we had to wait another month. We were so excited it was going to close, and then it kept getting delayed because they had to go to the embassy in Trinidad, the U.S. embassy, and get a notary. It had to be mailed to them. They had to sign it with like 7 siblings. 2 of them are in another country. It was a hassle. But at the end of the day, we got it done. It was done at the beginning of this month, and then we got paid. And that's exactly how I made $25,000 on one deal. So what I'm trying to explain here is just to be extremely persistent and just take that extra step that the other people are not willing to take. And if you do that, you can literally get paid. It's that easy. All you have to do is just be persistent, be willing to kind of take that extra mile, take that extra step and make something happen. And that's it. And like, if you think about it in terms of time, like how long it took me, it's probably just a few hours, to be honest, like with the calls and everything and trying to find the attorney. But it was just a little bit tough. That's what it is, because during the deal, you're like, what if it falls through? What if everyone cancels? What if it's not even possible? But we got it done. And just because I decided to be persistent and I decided to take, I decided not to take no for an answer. Because again, they said no. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to say yes. Like, ever since I was young, some people say I'm annoying because I keep asking for some things. And if I don't get them, I never accept no. I just keep asking. On my Twitter, I posted a picture that I took from the CRM that I used to use before. One seller I called 150 times. And I sent him a lot of messages. He blocked me on one number. I called him on another. But I still got the deal and I got paid. So just be persistent. Take that extra step. And if you guys want to learn more on how we do those deals, I'm not going to sell you a course, but if you guys really want to learn more on how to do those deals, I'm going to put a link below to book a call with me and my partner, depending on what you want to learn in the real estate wholesaling business. If you want to learn on the buyer side, then that would be my partner. If you want to learn on the seller side, that would be me on the sales acquisition side. But really, it's going to be straight knowledge, straight value. It's going to be for you guys. So I'm going to put a link below. If you guys want, just book a call and we'll explain everything. And we've already helped like a lot of people for free, because I'm in a Discord and I post my deals, and every single time some people call me, I give them free game. Even today, I closed a deal. I made a few $1,000s, and I made the JV partner a few $1,000s just because I helped him. I showed him exactly how to do it. He did it, and then he got me a deal. So moral of the story, be persistent and take that extra step and you'll get paid.